So I was going to ask you, what would you say is something that you're thinking in your mind when, if you're at a jam or you're recording and you have the groove in your head, you don't really know what you're going to play in terms of the solo. Where does your mind go in terms of rhythm? Are you just listening to where the drums are? And is it more of like, okay, this is the pulse and whatever just comes out of it? You're just trying to stick with what you're feeling in terms of your body, in terms of your air, and then where your fingers will just do what it does. Like, what's going on internally in your head, and that in your approach to that.
Yeah. Oh, so in a situation where I'd be like just improvising live, playing, jamming, or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, well, I
Yeah.
always play, whenever I play live, my focus is on really two things in particular, but the thing I listen to most is the drums. I play to the drums all the time
Okay.
because if I don't feel like I can hear the drums well enough, then I don't know if I'm locking to them. And that, for some reason, I don't know why, but that's where the power is, in my sense, is in the unification of my part with the drums. And when that happens and I feel like I have a lock, I feel like I have a solid target and a purpose. You know what I mean? I'm doing it. And if I'm not sure if I'm locked, then I can't really even enjoy it because I don't know that it's working musically. So number one, I'm listening to the drums. And then number two, I always listen to, I guess I would say, it's the internal voice, the internal sense of the energy of the lines I'm playing. Now that pays attention to the whole band though, because it pays attention to the song. So as I hear the vocal line and the melody work, and if it's a soaring melody or it's a punchy, powerful melody, I'm going to take that and I'm going to kind of assimilate that into what I want to hear my part do with that, with the song. But my point is that when I'm playing, if I play a fill line or go into a solo or something, I'm always playing from my internal voice, which is,
Mm.
as I go to play something, I will, of course, I hear what I'm producing, but I also hear an internal sense of what I want to produce, meaning I hear the line that is occurring to me to play. And I know what it's supposed to sound like, and that's what's coming out on the guitar. So, this, of course, is something that you develop over time as you develop the guitar being your voice. And you get very accustomed to, you know what everything sounds like. So as I improvise a line, a lick, or a melody, I'll hear it as I play it. And therefore, what I'm really listening to is that internal sense. Well, there's something about that internal sense that's a little different than the external. The external is the actual sound, which you want to pay attention to, because if the actual sound is not matching the internal sound, then there's a technique problem. You know what I mean? I'm not doing something that I need to do to get what I want. Now, crossing over that hurdle, let's say, okay, I got all that taken care of, it does come back. Then what I really listen for is what I call the energy of the line. So there's kind of like this subtle underlying energy in music. And I don't really necessarily notice it so much when I'm just listening to music. It's when I'm playing music that I feel it. It's like I want to deliver the line and hold the energy up. It's almost like like suppose you have a string and you're pulling something. I think of a kid's toy, so an old, like 50, 60 years ago, kids' toys. Sometimes I saw a toy way back once that had a string on it and the kid would pull it and it was like got wheels or something on it. And obviously if he doesn't hold the string tight, the thing's not going to move. But if I want to move that thing at a constant speed and I want to hold that string tight, I need to keep moving at that speed. That's what the energy feels like as I move through time. I'm playing through a lick. I'm going to hold that string and keep it tight. And if I feel it drop, that energy falls, then I don't like that. I feel like I'm dropping the ball then. And the thing is, what keeps the string tight is a matter. Well, number one, you have to pay attention to it. So being aware that it exists and you kind of listen for it, that's one thing. And then once you notice that, like that's the thing that as I do reviews, I'll hear people playing the notes. There's no string. You know what I'm saying? They're not holding it together as a phrase. But when sometimes I'll say it in terms of, you're playing the notes, but you're not playing the phrases. This is the same thing I'm talking about, because the phrase is what contains the energy. Even if there's rests in the phrase, you can still have the string tight, like, because I'm expecting that, and I allow that space. And then, sometimes it's about having a certain amount of noise with the part. I don't know. It's a subjective thing, but your question, to answer your question, that's really where my mind is. It's on that subjective component largely. And then I'm also aware of the actual sound coming back, which is really just a reflection of that internal subjective experience. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's a lot there, a lot to unpack, but definitely, yeah.
Do you notice that when you play,
Appreciate
as
it.
you go to play a line, you have an internal sense of what that lick is supposed to sound like, and you can tell when there's a mismatch.
Oh, certainly.
But when you
Yeah,
feel like
certainly,
you nail
certainly.
it, do you notice that it has a flow and it conveys a fullness of its space? You know what I mean? And if you
Yeah,
botch it,
yeah,
sometimes it'll train wreck and you'll lose it or something, but you'll lose. It's not just a mistake. You kind of lose that that sense of flow. I keep going back. Sometimes I explain it like feeling like what it must be like to ride a surfboard when you're on the wave, because you're moving through time and you're always in a new place, but it's always in the right place. You know what I mean? It's just that's the same way the
yeah,
line should feel as you move through time and play a lick. It should feel like that. And of course,
yeah.
what throws us off is glitches in technique that cause us not to be able to deliver the line in the smooth flow.